Call the member for Ninderry.
Thank you, Mr Deputy Speaker. The two highest priorities of any government is the safety and security of its citizens and to provide an economic environment in which its citizens can prosper. And on these highest priorities, Labor has failed, across the board, systemically, profoundly and unforgivably. Being able to work without living in fear of being a victim of crime is paramount to the stability and growth of a civilised society, a flourishing economy, and is fundamental to our way of life. Under Labor, Queensland is failing and will continue to fail. I have said before, and I will continue to say, over 20 years of policing has taught me three basic principles. Our people must be protected, criminals must be punished, and our police must be provided with what they need to get that job done. We need effective laws that enable police to find, arrest and convict criminals, and we need enough police to enforce these laws. We must get Queensland working again. We must believe that a safe and prosperous Queensland is achievable and is foreseeable. Queensland will not and cannot move forward under Labor. Just last month, while travelling around the state, we heard alarming stories from communities who felt so helpless in their fight against crime they have resorted to patrolling their streets themselves, vigilante groups that work through the night to protect their neighbourhood from criminals. It is a sad indictment on any government when its citizens no longer trust them to keep them safe. Townsville and far north Queensland communities are in the grip of an unprecedented crime epidemic. In Townsville, robberies have increased by 165%, armed robbery up 179% and unlawful use of a motor vehicle up 110%. In Cairns, robbery has increased by 94%, armed robbery up 74% and unlawful use of a motor vehicle up 80%. They are not the kind of crimes that are confined to some shady underworld. These are crimes being committed against everyday people in everyday suburbs every day. The LNP will restore law and order so our people and our communities can get back to what they should be focusing on, working hard, raising a family and getting ahead, not policing their own neighbourhoods. Crime stats are not the only damning evidence that prove Labor is soft on crime and has the wrong priorities. As a percentage of the state budget, they are spending less on law enforcement than was the average for the LNP. In fact, $234 million less per year. Over 5 years, $1.173 billion less has been spent on law and order as a percentage of the Queensland budget. In addition to that, when the LNP was in government, we had an average of 245 officers per 100,000 people. Under Labor, we now have 233 officers per 100,000 people. That's 610 fewer officers across Queensland. The thin blue line has never been thinner. That's why, as part of our plan to crack down on crime, the LNP will appoint 60 new police officers in Cairns and 60 new police officers in Townsville, sending a strong message to wannabe criminals that they will get caught and they will be punished. The LNP will give our police tough laws and the resources they need to stop crime and provide safer communities across Queensland. To properly protect our communities, we need to protect the building blocks of those communities, our families, and we must effectively protect our most vulnerable Queenslanders, our children. I've seen the aftermath of child sex abuse and the impact it has on victims, their families and our communities. Earlier this year, I was approached by a group of school parents in my electorate who are horrified to find that a convicted pedophile was not just living next to their children's school, but he was hosting kids' parties at his home. When they contacted the local police to report this suspicious behaviour, they were alarmed to learn that it's illegal for police to tell them or the school if he was a known high-risk pedophile. Labor's current plan to protect the community from sex offenders is an honesty system, a bit like their border policy. It's outrageous. They rely on the honesty and integrity of upstanding, law-abiding pedophiles living in our community to report online any changes in their circumstances, like, for example, they're now living beside a school and hosting pool parties for local kids. The system is broken, and that's why the LNP government will introduce a public child sex offender register, giving every parent an effective tool to protect their children from pedophiles. Mr Speaker, what we are facing as a state is an urgent need to restore law and order and rebalance the scales of justice. Police are tearing their hair out because of this soft-on-crime Labor government and the lack of resources they are providing police to prevent them from doing their job. The only way to fix
Member's time has expired. Thank you, member for Ninderry. Your time has
Mr.
expired. I call the member for Mackay.
Thank you, Deputy